and welcome back to another episode of The Ring's Edge. My name is Sarah, and I will be your host. I'm an avid wrestling fan since 2006, so I'm kind of obsessed. This week, we're going to be covering Monday Night Raw through Rampage, and we are going to be discussing some rumors that are floating about in the wrestling community. And I would love your opinion on them because I kind of have my own, but I want to see where you guys sit. So let's start with Monday Night Raw. At the beginning of the show, the Bloodline starts it out. They come out, before they can even say anything, Judgment Day comes out. And Heyman says that the Judgment Day is going to be helping out the Bloodline tonight in solving their problems. So, what does that mean per se? Well, Heyman says that Sikoa will take care of Bad Bunny, because we all know that there's been issues with Bad Bunny lately since WrestleMania. And the Judgment Day will take on Sami Zayn, Kevin Owens, and Matt Riddle tonight in the main event. Sikoa will take on Rey Mysterio in the first matchup of this evening. So the first matchup is Rey Mysterio versus Solo Sikoa. Now, obviously, we all know that Solo won. Shocker, I know. But the Usos come out during the matchup, and in the process of the Usos coming out, the LWO comes out to stop the Usos from interfering in the match. So, after the match, of course, a brawl breaks out between Judgment Day and LWO and the Bloodline. So, my question, do you think that we'll have a three-way? Or possibly a tag team match to determine the next contenders for Kevin and Sami? With the Usos and the Bloodline and that clan and the Judgment Day and LWO? We shall see. Because I don't really know the answers. I'm just posing questions. So you guys have to tell me what you think. I think there may be a matchup coming to determine number one contenders after the Usos. But who knows? We return to last week where we are starting to see the cracks in Damage Control. So we see where Damage Control is outside of Adam Pearce's office. And Bayley comes out and is like, hey, got a triple threat match tonight to determine the next number one contender for Belair. And she's like, well, of course it's going to be me because, I have more credibility and all this stuff. Well, of course, that doesn't sit well with Dakota and Io. So they speak up. And they're like, well, what about us? What about us? Well, we find out that Io Sky is going to be the one from Damage Control who gets in the triple threat match and wins the triple threat match. And we will see her face Bianca Belair in the future. No date has been set yet, or at least it hasn't been announced. So the second match of the night was Bianca Belair versus Dakota Kai, with Bianca Belair winning. If you've been following Bianca, she's been champion since WrestleMania last year. So she's been going on a year as champion and is continuing to win and win and win. Do you think that we need another Raw Women's Champion, or is Belair okay? I personally like Belair, and I think she is a good wrestler. She knows what she's doing. And there should be no issue. But of course, you got to switch it up eventually. Plus, with the draft coming up, who knows what could happen. We returned to 2 weeks ago where Roman Reigns and Solo Sikoa were supposed to face Cody Rhodes and Brock Lesnar. But before the matchup gets started, Lesnar attacks Rhodes. Rhodes then challenged Lesnar to a match at Backlash. Rhodes makes his way to the ring tonight. Rhodes calls out Lesnar, but Adam Pearce comes on instead. Pearce says that Rhodes isn't medically cleared to be here tonight or even in the ring, so Pearce wants Rhodes to leave. Of course, that doesn't sit right with Cody because, he's calling out Lesnar. Pearce asks Rhodes to leave the ring, and then Pearce has security come out to remove Rhodes. Lesnar comes out and stands on the stage. While Cody is trying to get to Lesnar, Lesnar's just standing there and laughing at him. Rhodes is granted the match by Pearce, and Rhodes takes out the security guards. Security tries to stop Rhodes, of course, which to no avail. Lesnar ends up leaving ringside, leaving the stage and without saying a word. And Rhodes attacks security again. Rhodes then goes on to say that Lesnar is no cowboy, but just a coward. Third match of the night was Miz versus Seth Rollins. Seth Rollins won. We find out that Bad Bunny will be on Raw next week. He's returning. We return to last week where Lita is injured. Trish Stratus takes her spot in the championship match with Becky Lynch. Stratus gets pinned. Stratus turns on Becky after the match. The fourth match of the night was Bobby Lashley versus Austin Theory. The winner was Austin Theory versus disqualification. And the person who caused the disqualification was none other than Bronson Reed. This is setting up for a matchup at Backlash, which we found out that is going to be Theory versus Lashley versus Reed. I believe for the United States Championship. Trish Stratus makes her way to the ring. Stratus talks about how she brought credibility to the women's division and the universe should be cheering for her and thanking her. Stratus says that Lita fell for Becky's tricks. And Stratus says that she's nobody's sidekick or childhood fantasy. And then she admits to taking out Lita. Ponder that for the rest of the show, and we'll talk about it at the end. Fifth match of the night was Michin Mia Yim and Candice LeRae versus Sonya Deville and Chelsea Green. The winners were going to be the number one contenders for the women's tag team championships. Sonya Deville and Chelsea Green win that match. And the sixth match of the night is your main event. Judgment Day versus Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn, and Matt Riddle. Your winners are Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn, and Matt Riddle. But the Usos attack after the match is over. Judgment Day comes to help the Usos and Sikoa against Owens, Zayn, and Riddle. The LWO come out to help Zayn and Riddle, and then Rey Mysterio comes out closing the show. Pretty decent show overall. I have to agree. I mean, I'm liking this whole Triple H era and where he's going with things. Of course, other people are like, well, it's been kind of stale, Well, you do have the draft coming up, so why would you start storylines when you have the draft coming up, just because things are going to get switched up and moved around and whatnot. So, we are going to move on to Dark Elevation. Now, Dark only had 4 matches. Well, I should say Elevation only had 4 matches. The first match was Ashley Demois versus Maki Ito. And of course, Ito wins via submission. Second match of the night was Mike Magnum, Jack Tomlinson, and Zach Clayton versus Matt Menard, Angelo Parker, and Jake Hager of JAS. And the winners of that one was JAS. Third match of the night was Brett Goslin and Bobby Orlando versus Matt Hart and Isaiah Cassidy. The winners was Matt Hart and Isaiah Cassidy. Your fourth match and your main event of the night is Emi Sakura versus Mizuki. And your winner for that match was Emi Sakura. Now, Dark Elevation and Dark both take place on YouTube every week. So you can check that out on AEW's YouTube channel. I personally think that, you're building up not even just new stars, but you're continuing to build up your current stars like JAS, like Emi Sakura, like Matt Hardy and Isaiah Cassidy. Now, we all know Jericho, we all know Matt Hardy, but you don't know their tag team, so seeing them wrestle and, you can figure out who they are, if that makes any sense. I feel like I just rambled on, but if that makes any sense. Dark the following night. Now, the first match of Dark on the 18th was actually kind of interesting. It was not a match that I was expecting, we'll put it that way. The first match of the night was Juice Robertson versus Pat Buck. Now, if you know anything, of course, we all know Juice Robertson is from New Japan. Was with New Japan. He's now signed to AEW. But was with New Japan. And if you've probably heard the name Pat Buck before, but you never actually possibly seen him wrestle. Pat Buck used to be an executive producer for WWE. He left WWE, I believe it was last year after WrestleMania, where he came out and saying that he has done all he wanted to do in WWE. He's, produced some of the biggest matches. He's done all he's wanted to do. Well, he moved on and signed with AEW and is now a producer with AEW, but he's also a wrestler, which I don't think I knew before now. Maybe once or twice I've seen him, but I haven't actually seen him. So it was interesting to say the least. Juice Robertson won that match. The second match of the night was the Renegades versus Kaya Dream and Brittany J. And the winners were the Renegades. Your third matchup of the night was Cole Carter versus Hunter James. Your winner for that match was Cole Carter. Your fourth match of the night is Iron Savages versus Jeeves K and Sunny Kiss. Your winners were the Iron Savages. The fifth match of the night was Marina Shafir versus Dream Girl Ellie. Your winner was Marina Shafir. For some reason, I love her style. I think that she's so powerful, but she kind of comes off as a Shayna Baszler, Ronda Rousey type, but of course she's her own person. But it's still I don't know how to describe it. She just has, I think she has an MMA background. So it's rather interesting to see her wrestle and to watch her wrestle, because she doesn't wrestle with shoes on. She wrestles without shoes. Like, she comes out with shoes on, but then she takes them off and takes her socks off and throws them into the crowd. So she probably has, like, you know, dollar store socks, because what would be the freaking point in wearing, you know, expensive. But your sixth match of the night was Joel and Rohi Raju versus Ariel Levy and Jarrett Diaz. Diaz. Your winners were Joel and Rohi Raju. These two are kind of interesting to me, just because they have their own unique style. But they're kind of similar in ways. Obviously, I don't know much about them besides what I see on TV, so I don't know, you know, if they've trained together. I don't know much about them. But they have a similar style, but they're still interesting and fun to watch. I think so. Your seventh match and main event of the night was Christopher Daniels versus Angelico from Spanish Announce Project. Your winner of that match was Christopher Daniels. We are moving on to Wednesday Night Dynamite. Jungle Boy Jack Perry starts out the show. Before he can say anything, Sammy Guevara interrupts. Before Guevara can say anything, Darby Allin interrupts. Allin says that Guevara is the least person to be challenging for the AEW Championship. Allin says that he and Sting see each other as equals, unlike him and Chris Jericho, suggesting that Jericho looks down on Guevara. Interesting. Allin calls Guevara and Jericho out for him and Sting. Allin says that Perry didn't have to work to get there to AEW. Allin admits he was jealous of Perry. Perry pretty much says how Allin really is. Perry says that Allin is only there because Allin didn't make it as a skateboarder. Perry says that they don't have the time to talk about Guevara. Perry continues saying that with Guevara, what you see is what you get. Perry calls Guevara a scumbag piece of shit, and the crowd starts chanting, piece of shit. Guevara calls Allin a freak. Guevara tells Perry that he is just like MJF. Guevara says that Perry and Allin were handpicked for AEW. Guevara says that him and Allin will do whatever it takes to make it. Guevara says that Allin was the first pillar to win a championship. Guevara says that he and Allin have been in a never-ending competition with each other. Perry says that he is the next champion. And then MJF shows up. Because, you know, why not? He goes on to make fun of Pittsburgh because they're in Pittsburgh. MJF announces that there will be a Pillars tournament to determine who faces MJF at Double or Nothing in May. MJF says that Allin, after picking his name from a hat, will get a bye in the first round. In the first round tonight will be Guevara and Perry. And that will happen tonight. And then MJF leaves. Your first match of the night is a tag team match. Ruby Soho and Toni Storm versus Dr. Britt Baker, DMD, and Jamie Hayter. Your winners are Dr. Britt Baker, DMD, and Jamie Hayter. We then go to a backstage segment where Wardlow calls in reinforcements with none other than Arn Anderson. The Elite then make their way to the ring. Kenny Omega talks about wanting to plunge the screwdriver into Moxley's head instead of the turnbuckle last week. They talk the Blackpool They talk the Blackpool Combat Club. BCC then attacks the Elite from behind. BCC and the Elite get into a brawl. Don Callis returns and comes out, but then he runs away. He brings out Konosuke Takeshita to help the Elite. The Elite and Takeshita come out on top as BCC retreats. In your second matchup of the night is for the TNT Championship. Powerhouse Hobbs, who is the reigning champion, versus Wardlow. Your winner and champion to close out that match was Wardlow. Now, I found out during the show that actually Wardlow is from like around the Pittsburgh area or started wrestling from around the Pittsburgh area. So that was rather interesting. I didn't know that before. Your third match of the night was Commander versus Jay White, with your winner being Jay White. And then White and Robertson attack Sean Spears, who is at ringside. Ricky Starks comes running out to help Spears, and White and Robertson run away. Now, I think this is going to be setting up for a tag team match in the future between the two teams of White and Robertson and Starks and Spears. That shall be interesting to see. Spears just recently returned from losing his mother last year and his wife having a baby. So him not having any ring rust is like... I mean, you don't see it often, but you still see it occasionally. FTR are having supposed to have an interview. And they find out that Mark Briscoe was attacked earlier today. So they find him in the trainer's room with Jay Lethal, Jeff Jarrett, Satnam Singh, and their mouthpiece. And I can never remember his name for the life of me. The trainer says that Mark can't wrestle. So Mark proposes that FTR tag with Lethal and Jarrett. This should be interesting because Mark Briscoe and FTR have been like best friends, but I still can't get the vibe of what Jarrett is trying to do, Jarrett and Lethal. And I'm not trying to put that. This is my opinion and my opinion alone. I think that either Jarrett or Satnam Singh or Lethal attacked Mark just to get FTR in there. My opinion and my opinion alone. Chris Jericho makes his way to the ring, and then Adam Cole comes out. Cole says that he has respect for Jericho, but Jericho doesn't have respect for Cole. Cole says that he's done with all of this crap with Jericho. Cole attacks Jericho. Jericho attacks Cole. Sorry, not Jericho. Garcia attacks Cole, helping Jericho. Britt Baker then comes running out to help Cole. Because if you don't know, Britt Baker and Adam Cole are dating. It's kind of obvious. Baker then slaps Jericho. And the Outcasts then come out and attack Baker. Saraya hits Baker with a kendo stick as Cole is handcuffed to the ring ropes. Cole is begging for mercy for Baker. Cole gets freed eventually from the handcuffs after the attack and helps Baker to the back to be checked out. We hear from Matt Hardy, Jeff Hardy, Hook, and Isaiah Cassidy this coming Saturday night on Rampage. The fourth match is JAS versus the Acclaimed and Daddy Ass. The winners are the Acclaimed and Daddy Ass. Sounds so weird to say. And I've also been recently, within the last 6 months or so, I've gotten into the Acclaimed. I'm liking their gimmick. I'm liking this whole daddy ass thing. I'm liking this whole scissor me. And it's just interesting. And they're good wrestlers too. So don't bash that. They are good wrestlers too. So I don't even know what to say about them. They're just that good, I think. Your fifth match and final match of the night is Sammy Guevara versus Jungle Boy Jack Perry, with Sammy Guevara coming out on top. Now, if you watched Dynamite, you know that the only reason why Guevara came out on top was because of MJF. MJF interfered behind the ref's back and helped Guevara win the matchup. Shouldn't shock you. I mean, it's Sammy Guevara and MJF. It shouldn't shock you. Next, we are going to be talking about Ring of Honor from Thursday night. The first match is The Kingdom versus Action Andretti and Darius Martin. Your winners are The Kingdom. The second match was Robin Renegade versus Willow Nightingale. Willow Nightingale won. Third match of the night was Lance Archer versus JC. Your winner was Lance Archer. Your fourth match of the night was Brian Cage versus Joey Jett. Brian Cage won. Your fifth match of the night was Athena versus Heather Reckless, with Athena winning. Your sixth match of the night was a tag team match between Lee Johnson and Cole Carter versus the Dark Order, and the Dark Order wins. Seventh match of the night was Nick Comoroto versus Penta El Zero Miedo, and your winner was Penta El Zero Miedo. I probably butchered that, and that's just the way I say it. Miedo. Don't come for me if you're Spanish. That's just the way that I say it. And correct me if I'm wrong, but don't come for me. Don't, attack me for getting it wrong. The eighth match of the night was Konosuke Takeshita versus Lee Moriarty, with Konosuke Takeshita winning. Your ninth match is El Hero del Vikingo versus Gringo Loco. Vikingo wins. That one is a tough name. And I'm sorry, I'm not Spanish, so I probably butchered that, and I'm sorry. Your 10th match of the night was Iron Savages versus Ren Jones and Logan Lynch, with your winners coming out as Iron Savages. And your 11th match and main event of the night was for the ROH TV Championship, with Samoa Joe taking on Colt Cabana. Samoa Joe comes out as your winner and champion of the night. Moving on to Friday Night SmackDown. Your first match of the night was Finn Balor and Damian Priest versus Rey Mysterio and Santos Escobar. Of course, your winners are Finn Balor and Damian Priest, because why not? If you can't tell, I don't like Judgment Day. We return to last week, where Solo Sikoa destroys Matt Riddle after the match, covering him with the announce table. We then see Zelina Vega talking with Adam Pearce. Zelina wants to face Rhea Ripley for the Women's Championship at Backlash, stating that she is the only Puerto Rican who is signed to WWE and wants to take her on in Puerto Rico at Backlash. We return to last Friday, where Shinsuke Nakamura returns. Then we see Karrion Kross, who sends a message to Nakamura about his time being up. Second match of the night was Ricochet and Braun Strowman versus the Viking Raiders, with Ricochet and Braun Strowman winning. Your third match was the Women's Tag Team Championship match. Raquel Rodriguez and Liv Morgan, your champions, versus Chelsea Green and Sonya Deville. Your winners and champions of the night are Raquel Rodriguez and Liv Morgan. Your fourth match, which is another championship match, is for the Intercontinental Championship. We have Gunther versus Xavier Woods, with your winner and champion coming out as Gunther via submission. We return to WrestleMania, where Owens and Zayn take the tag team championships off the Usos. We return to last week, where the Usos tell Owens and Zayn that they are better than ever and coming for the titles. The rematch is set for next week, the first night of the draft. Your fifth match of the night is a no disqualification match between Solo Sikoa and Matt Riddle. Your winner is Solo Sikoa. And then the Usos and Sikoa attack Riddle after the matchup to close the show. Let's talk Rampage from last night on Saturday. This was a special edition Saturday episode that we don't normally see. So this was definitely, I mean, we've seen it a couple times, but I think it's been a while since we've had a Saturday Rampage. But the first match of the night was Jon Moxley versus Christopher Daniels. If you know anything about these two wrestlers, you know Christopher Daniels has been around probably since ROH originally started back in like 2002. I'm probably off with that year, but he's been around for a long time, and he's a veteran of the business. He knows what he's doing, and he knows how to conduct himself in the ring. Jon Moxley is just, I don't know if I can say it, but I'm going to say it anyways. Jon Moxley's just a badass. And with the whole BCC, lately, and attacking just everybody in general, no matter who you are, is just kind of Moxley's thing. But the winner of this match was Jon Moxley. After the match, Moxley actually helped Christopher get up, which is kind of surprising because you would think that, like, he's part of the Blackpool Combat Club. Like, they've been attacking people. Why is he not attacking? We'll get to that. Hook, Matt, and Jeff Hardy and Isaiah Cassidy make their way to the ring. They talk about Jeff coming back. Everybody in the crowd chants welcome back to Jeff. Jeff says that he's going to retire, but he's not retiring from wrestling. He's retiring from screwing up. So hopefully, fingers crossed, everything crossed, he will not screw up anymore and get in any more trouble than he already was. But he wants to end his career in AEW. So, if he's standing true to his word, there will not be another Hardy Boys run in WWE. So, unlike Matt, who said he wanted to end there. So, but who knows? We shall see. Stokely Hathaway comes up on the Titantron, and he is demanding answers from Matt and Jeff about this whole the Firm takedown business match that's going to take place at the Hardy compound. And if you know anything about the Hardy Boys, you know that they have pretty much their own wrestling ring at their house, or at least at Matt's house. And they've done different shows, different matches and stuff there from like Impact, and I don't know if they've done any matches there with WWE. And I think there might have been one or two with AEW. But the most notable one that I remember is from Impact, when they had a match at the Hardy compound. I'm pretty sure they did do one with WWE, but I don't remember when. It's It's been a while. But Matt says that he'll let Hathaway and the firm know when the time's right on what's going to happen with this match, the rules and everything. Of course, Stokely, that doesn't satisfy Stokely because why would it? Well, Stokely pretty much just tried to blow it off and be like, oh, okay, whatever. I'm trying to be patient, Well, of course, that sets up for the firm to attack from behind. And we end this segment with the firm standing tall over Hook, Matt, and Jeff Hardy, and Isaiah Cassidy. We return to Wednesday night where JAS, the Jericho Appreciation Society, attacks Adam Cole. Britt Baker comes out to help Cole, but the Outcasts come back and attack Baker with a kendo stick and make Cole watch as he's handcuffed to the ropes. Afterwards, we see where he consoles her in the back, in the trainer's room, making sure that she's okay. I have not heard any update, a medical update about that. So I'm not sure. Maybe we'll find out Wednesday, because we're supposed to be hearing from Adam Cole on Dynamite this week. The second match of the night was Julia Hart versus Kiera Hogan. And the winner was Julia Hart via submission. After the match, Anna Jay comes running out to continue her feud with Julia Hart. And we notice that Anna Jay's eyes are getting black underneath. Now, if you remember back when Julia was first starting the transformation from being the cheerleader to being a part of the House of Black, you noticed that she had like an eye patch that she would wear. She had black makeup on and everything. We're starting to see that with Anna Jay. So is Anna Jay going to be joining the House of Black and being another female with them? Even though technically she has just joined the JAS. So we shall see what happens, because that would be interesting if she joined House of Black. I personally don't like Anna Jay as a heel. I don't think she's a good heel, but that's just my personal opinion. The third match of the night was the 8-man tag team match, which we heard about on Wednesday Night Dynamite with Jeff Jarrett, Jay Lethal, and FTR versus the Varsity Athletes and Slim J. This match came about because technically it was supposed to be, I believe it was supposed to be Jeff Jarrett, Jay Lethal, Satnam Singh, and Mark Briscoe. But Mark got injured on Wednesday night, if you remember. So he was unable to compete in this match. So FTR pretty much took his and Satnam Singh's place. And the winners of this match was Jeff Jarrett, Jay Lethal, and FTR. After the match, it seemed as if Jay Lethal and Jarrett were going to try and go after FTR, because, they don't get along. But Mark Briscoe comes running out and manages to talk them all down. And be like, look, guys, you need to chill. Manages to kind of break them apart. The fourth match and your main event of the night was for the AAA Mega Championship with Drolistico, part of the LFI, versus El Jairo del Vankingo. I can never pronounce his name correctly, so I'm sorry if I butchered that. Who is the champion, and the winner and the champion coming out is Velkingo. But of course, after the match, you know what's going to happen, because during the match, LFI actually got thrown from ringside. The other members of LFI. So they come back out after the match and attack Vikingo. I always feel like I'm never pronouncing that correctly, but that's okay, because I'm probably not. Let's talk some of the rumors that are floating around the wrestling community. and I want your take. Becky Lynch had announced at the beginning of Monday that she was not going to be at Raw this week. What are your thoughts? Personally, obviously this is setting up for a matchup between her and Stratus. That is rumored to take place at SummerSlam in August. Do you prefer Trish as a heel or a face? Personally, my opinion and my opinion alone, I think she's better as a face. I liked when they had the 6-woman tag match at WrestleMania, but she does make a better heel. I understand why she attacked Lita and Becky, but even still, why? They're such, like, they didn't do anything. Like, they're innocent, but, you know, you have to set up the heel turn. What are your thoughts on Bronson Reed and Bobby Lashley? Between those two, who do you think is more dominant between them? You have so much momentum with both guys that how are you supposed to stop that momentum from happening? Questions. And the last thing that I want to talk about is Dynamite this week was in Pittsburgh. Now, if you know me personally outside of the wrestling world, you know that I live roughly 2.5 to 3 hours from Pittsburgh. So it's sad, cried that I couldn't be there because I would love to see AEW live. I've seen WWE, and I would love to see AEW live. And we all know that Britt Baker is from Pittsburgh, so it was nice to see a hometown girl there with her terrible towels. But I heard something during the show that I had to rewind just to hear it again and to share it with my husband. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't believe you just said that. We had to rewind it and listen to it again just to be like, he really did say that. So during the Britt Baker and Jamie Hayter versus Soho and Toni Storm match, you'll hear Taz make a comment about Jamie Hayter. And at this point in the matchup, Jamie Hayter is getting tossed around. I don't think Britt has made it into the matchup yet as of this point. But Hayter's getting tossed all around the ring. And Taz makes a comment of Jamie Hayter being thrown all around, that she probably made her way to Altoona. That's just like paraphrasing, because that's not the exact wording, because I should have wrote the exact wording down, but that's okay. If you know me personally, you know that I live roughly near Altoona. About half-hour drive. So I thought it was really cool that Taz gave a shout out to Altoona, because it's a small town and you don't hear much of it outside of, like, you know, the little area that it's in. So hearing that was like, that's awesome. So that was some key takeaways from this week. I would love your opinion on all of these stories. I would love your opinion on the shows. I would love your opinion on my show. What would you like to see in the future? Do you like this setup where I discuss the matches, where I talk about the matches, where I, give you the winners if you can't watch the show? What would you like to see? Now, I'm thinking, obviously the draft starts next Friday night and then concludes on the following Monday. If you've noticed and have been following the blog long enough, you notice that I don't get Monday nights out until Tuesday, just because of my work schedule, because I do have a full-time job. But I get it out as soon as I possibly can, so that is always a day late. But what do you want to see? Do you like this format? Give me some feedback of what you want in the future. Do you want me to discuss some wrestlers? Do some deep dives on some wrestlers? Let me know your thought process. Follow me on all social medias at The Ring's Edge. You can check out my links down below. They'll all be listed in the description box. If you have any suggestions that you would like, that you don't want other people to discuss and would discuss it privately, please feel free to shoot me a message, or you can even email me at theringsedge06@gmail.com. And always know that we take it to the ring's edge. Have a great weekend.